Experiencing some technical difficulties here. We will see this very soon. If we just hit table 1 face for the moment. The game will be going on and we will try and fix this for you as soon as possible.
And there you see Fry the head judge looking on. And plenty of other spectators. Yep, looks like a card's been dropped on Dom's side. There's Josh running on to see if he can help out with the getting the camera back on. Looks like the camera is working again. We have them shuffling up for some effect. Is that the miracle worker? Oh, Josh is a miracle worker. Right, I understand. Was that Time Twister? Time Spiral?
Time Twister at the top in the graveyard?
Yep.
Yep, so that's Time Twister putting itself in the new graveyard.
Mm.
Remember, because it sets itself outside in a new graveyard.
Yes. Putting the rest of the graveyard in hand into a new library with a new draw 7.
I has all the manas. Being pointed out by Fry that he actually has 1 more mana than he thought.
Yes.
And Dominic here, I believe, has F6 his opponent.
Now, does he have all the pieces for his combo to go off? Looks like
we'll
he may
need to
do.
see what he has in hand.
Yep.
The Trinket Mage will allow him to go get any artifact that costs 1 or less, any trinkets. So he may choose to get something like a Zuran Orb, may choose to get Sensei's Divining Top or Candelabra, just for more mana.
And we see Candelabra, giving him the ability to untap things.
Even without the Tolarian Academy, he could ramp using the Simica Growth Chamber.
Ooh.
And this is all before that Memory Jar even.
There's the wing.
It looks here like it. Lachlan is just playing it as safe as possible. Paying 4 mana, Dominic now has nothing he can do. He cannot respond to anything because of the defense grid in play.
Mm.
And Lachlan going for absolute redundancy here. He's got the Candelabra, he's got the Deserted Temple. The only thing he's missing here is the Minamo.
Yep.
Tangle Wire, an interesting card, meaning that Dominic, if he does have to pass the turn, obviously it does a tap for a mana with the Tolarian, but if he does have to pass the turn, Dominic won't be able to play any other spells.
Yep.
When it comes back to Lachlan's turn.
Yep.
And the time reversal is exiling itself. As with the last game with Lachlan going off, he's doing it from a healthy life total. Not that that is terribly relevant because he doesn't use many cards that are going to actually cause him damage. But like last time, this is all under a memory jar. If he does fail to go off here, even though he does have an amazing board presence, his hand will only be that 1 or 2 cards left at the top left-hand side of your screen. The 1 point you spend to play Mana Vault seems mostly irrelevant here at the point where you're going for broke. He's got so many permanents on the board at this point.
Yes.
Only one of them is hit by Ugin.
Which
He'll feed 2 mana into that, untap the Tolarian Academy, untap the Deserted Temple.
Yep.
To feed even more blue mana.
Yep.
12 blue. 13 blue, sorry. So that's 25 blue mana, that nice little activation there, in addition to anything else that he had in pool.
Yep.
Decides he's got enough mana so he doesn't need Makoroko to continually untap the Tolarian.
He has 17 blue floating. Now a little bit less. Blue white.
Yeah, but at this point we're just following on with Lachlan.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
Yep. F6'd.
Okay, so here he goes, transmutes for the Zurin Orb. He's going to... Under all those cards, does he have the Crucible somewhere?
No, doesn't look like it.
Okay, so no Crucible, so he may simply just have to pass the turn here. Bear in mind his opponent is going to tap down under the Tangle Wire. He has plenty of cards to tap down to his own Tangle Wire, which are mostly irrelevant. The Memory Jar is going to come back. Dominic will tap down. That's just naughty. That's the worst card in the whole deck. You spend your turn comboing out and you still don't... and you play Tangle Wire. It's meaning without a land, Dominic is not going to be able to counter anything Lachlan wants to play on his turn. The other thing, Lachlan, I don't think he's got any storm spells in there, so it's irrelevant where you are when you start comboing off. It's just all about where you end up with a lot of mana.
And being able to use that mana to kill your opponent.
Tasiga, I'd say representing a clock. But I think we can all see that Lachlan's not going to have too much of a hard time
No,
fighting through this.
probably not.
Now he just doesn't have to make sure he doesn't miss the tangle wire or anything like that.
Yep.
Trinket Mage not going to be attacking again. Takes 1 damage from the Mana Vault, as it was not untapped for the trigger.
And we have an Ugin.
Ugin, Lightning Bolt. And people want Tolarian back in EDH. He doesn't have any draw effects or anything like that, so Ugin is everything. But if you've only got one, putting all your eggs in one basket, I don't mind Ugin being that basket.
Yeah, it's a pretty good basket. Something's going on.
He's using the Rishadan Port and the Deserted Temple to untap the Rishadan Port, and the Candelabra of Tornos to untap the Rishadan Port and the Deserted Temple. So he can use the Rishadan Port to basically tap down his entire mana base, in addition to the Tangle Wire tapping down for 3. Fair.
Yeah.
Two cards in hand, you can have that Sword of Fire and Ice. Gerard's Verdict there. Going for the attack. You know what? Still had Maze of it.
Yep.
Lachlan Wardsmith on 19, most likely going to just not worry about his mana artifacts being tapped over there. He's happy to take 1 off his Mana Vault.
Yep.
It's just an inconvenience having to do it in the upkeep when you have so much mana.
Yep.
Lachlan Wardsmith doing everything he can just to keep Dominic under until he manages to draw something a bit more relevant. Bear in mind that Ugin is just going to continually bolt him for 3.
Yes.
Because what else do you spend 8 mana on? A Lightning Bolt.
Yep.
I absolutely love this deck, just putting it out there. I am building this deck and I am playing this deck. Yep, using the Voltaic Key on the Candelabra, just being able to untap that Rishadan Port another 4 or 5 times, being able to tap down all of Dominic's lands. Untap everything again, leaving the mana artifacts, going to 17. That allows quite a few draw steps.
It sure does. So you can using his ultimate. Gaining 7 life, drawing 7 cards, and putting 7 permanents onto the battlefield from hand. Any sort of permanent. Word from the floor is Dominic's just shrugging to the ultimate. He's watching this interesting combo go off. Well, this isn't a combo, but you know, it's part of the combo deck.
How much does my Tolarian account for? Lachlan Ward Smith's deck, a deck rife with unintended consequences. Dominic asking, am I getting Emrakul soon? Because he can tap 1 land at this point and cast an Emrakul.
Yep. Broadsmith responded the no.
Okay,
Yeah.
Ward Smith tutoring for the Blue Sun Zenith. Dominic's face right there, hand on his head in utter despair.
Yep. Then
And Lachlan Ward Smith finally makes his way into the finals. He's got his convoluted combo deck has made it through. He was top of the Swiss. I'm very interested. I wonder how many games he won 1-0-1.
Yeah.
How many matches going through the Swiss. We know he came out on top.
Yes.
It's just how many games he actually took to 2. Because if it happened like that, where he wasn't able to combo it and had to do it the slow way,
Yeah.
if he had to do that in game 1, going into game 2, that may not have been much time left. So being caught on the clock may have actually helped him and won a lot 1-0-1.
I believe it was close, but he never went to time during Swiss. He did say that earlier on in the day, that it was a bit close sometimes, but managed to win the games in time. So.
And we are going to take just a quick break. We will be back with the finals. I believe one of our players may want to take a couple of minutes just to shuffle his deck, make sure it's sufficiently randomised.
And D-sideboard.
D-sideboard.
Get a game loss for deckless problems.
But that's alright, and we will take this break for 2 minutes, and we will see you guys very shortly.
Farewell.
Yeah, we're ready to go. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Howdy folks, and welcome back to the Next Level Games Eternal Masters event. We are here for the final of the Vintage event. We have seen Lachlan Ward-Smith running the best deck in the room. We should all be behind it.
Definitely.
He did just defeat an Esper mid-range deck in 3 games. A very, very interesting 3-game, though long. I have never seen so many Richardson Port activations in a single turn.
Yep.
It was amazing, and I am having so much fun watching this. Remember, Next Level Games are the guys hosting this event, and it is being streamed on behalf of Sneak and Show. My name is Joshua Butler. I'm here with Laura Ellis.
Hello.
And we will be going down and watching the finals of the Highlander event. We are going to see the winner of this walk away with a Mox Emerald.
Mox. Yep, Emerald indeed. And the second place going with a Grim Tutor.
Grim Tutor, not bad. Recently depointed, so that is only 0 points now. It's 3 black and 3 life for a DT. I'm fine with that.
Yep.
And we're going in. Okay, and the players are going to go to their 7s. Obviously, Isaac Egan has already said that he does believe that he is not favoured to win this matchup.
Yeah.
And I'm with him on that. As I said earlier, I thought if Lachlan Ward-Smith did get through the semi-finals, did get through his Esper opponent, the Bant Clamp list does have a lot of blanks. It has a lot of do-nothings. It's got the Skull Clamp, which is going to draw him cards, but cards are not going to help you. He needs actual cards that interact with Lachlan Ward-Smith. And unfortunately, because it's lots of creatures, fewer counterspells, fewer things that actually operate on the stack, Lachlan Ward-Smith has opponent sitting in front of him for the big prize. That is probably statistically easier, just paper to paper on the decks on their own advantages than his previous opponent. And it looks like Isaac Egan has taken a mulligan down. And Lachlan Ward-Smith, because he was top of the Swiss, is going to be on the play for this game. Yes, Null Rod, Stony Silence, they are effective cards that will help this deck. Value Eternal Witness. So, besides, we don't think he's got much in the main deck that will help. He does have the Daze, does have the Abrupt Decay, Bant Charm, Council's Judgment. Oh god, Korsali Pride Mage, Mental Misstep. These are cards that he has that may be more effective, and the just straight up counterspell. I do believe it does get better in the sideboard. You can bring an Aven Mind Sensor for the tutoring, Duress, Thoughtseize, Negate. Graftic's Cage won't do anything, nothing's being brought from the graveyard to play. And the Vendilion Click he also has main deck, which will be able to fight on the stack. Korsali Pride Mage not able to kill Darksteel Citadel. Now, Isaac has been on the Pro Tour. We have seen him a few times up on stage in a couple of drafts and things like that on Wizards live coverage. So we do have quite a proficient player here. Lachlan Ward-Smith is a Canberra local, came down with you, Laura, I believe?
Yes, he did.
Uh,
In his car, in fact.
in his car?
Yes.
Okay, so he can pay for gas on the way home.
Yeah.
And he is playing the convoluted Academy deck. For those who weren't watching in our previous game, this is Tolarian Academy, Fast Bond, Memory Jar, Time Twister, Time Spiral, Mana Vault. He's trying to assemble one of many 2 and 3 card combinations,
Yep.
Mostly involving artifacts to create infinite mana, to create infinite draws, to create infinite your dead opponents.
Yeah. Or even the Ugin kill you.
We saw an
bolts.
Ugin simply lightning bolt someone to death. And ultimate.
Yeah. Also remove all of your little small creatures and then dash for the win.
Yep, we've seen Ugin do a lot of work today, being able to clear cluttered board states on even as little as like turn 3 and turn 4 against 2 or 3 creatures in front of him, being able to cast it, just say, no, exile your board. My board is fine. You can keep your lands. Isaac Egan holding on to the days, electing not to daze a simple talisman. Lachlan probably passing the turn here. Chrysali Primage is now active. He can destroy any of Lachlan's artifacts, apart from the Darksteel Citadel itself. And that may be relevant depending on the contents of his hand. I can see a Restoration Angel. I can see the days. I think that's an Everson's Pilgrim, a sort of Fire and Ice. Again, as I said, his deck has a lot of blanks.
Yeah.
Cards that are just going to do nothing while Lachlan tries to combo. The only relevant card in his hand is Days.
Yes.
And I think Lachlan may have a Fast Bond, though. It's not going to do much if he's not countering. Not comboing, sorry.
Yep. Comboing.
Not sure what those last 3 cards are in Isaac's hand. Lachlan going down to 17 off the Exalted trigger, electing not to block the Chrysali Primage.
It's a sensible choice.
Averson's Pilgrim, hardcast Days up. Elects, again, not to destroy anything, using perhaps the Council's Judgment, perhaps waiting for a better value target. It's not like he's going to take the Mox Opal off Metalcraft at this point. Sylvan Scrying. And so that's going to go get him a land. Reveal it and is going to put it into his hand. That's probably going to be the Tolarian. Now, does Isaac play the Wasteland? I do not believe that he does.
No.
Wasteland used to be free and was basically a gimme for all creature decks.
Yep.
But when they did put the point on it, a lot of decks dropped it in favour of the Stoneforge Mystic package with Jitte, Batterskull, Steel Shaper's Gift, Stoneforge Mystic.
Skull Clamp.
Skull Clamp and a few other cards like
Swords.
that. And Wasteland just managed to find its way out of fewer and fewer decks.
Yep. So Isaac's points are 2 for the Skull Clamp, 1 each for Stoneforge Mystic, True Name Nemesis.
Digital Psycho, you're talking about Vandal Blast.
Steel Shaper's Gift, Birthing Pod, and Jason Mind Sculptor.
In the Bant deck, we don't have any red. So the only thing we could possibly see, but unfortunately is not in the sideboard, is something like you're looking at something like a Naturalize, the green 4-drop that destroys all artifacts.
Nature?
Back to Nature. That's a 3-drop, I think. Yep, but Back to Nature and that kind of thing. Yes, it would shut down the Tolarian Academy, but I think it's too narrow. It's not something you want to be siding in.
Yeah, not many decks.
And another untap effect for the Tolarian Academy.
Yep.
Spider Bite, I do agree. Getting Fracturing Gust in there, being able to destroy all artifacts, enchantments. The life is mostly irrelevant, but a lot of these are really very slow. So with Fracturing Gust, you're looking at a 5 cost. And Isaac Egan, I think really what he wants to be is he wants to get the early creature down, something like a Qasali Pride Mage, and then just counter everything from there. We have seen Back to Basics come in against him. It didn't do much. All he did was untap it with, continually untap it with the Voltaic Key on the Candelabra of Tornos, and Back to Basics just wasn't good enough. It slowed him down for a turn, but it didn't slow him down enough. Blood Moon is much better. What else does he have to resolve Blood Moon in the main deck? Obviously Ugin, he can get rid of it that way.
Hmm.
No, it looks like he has very few outs in the main deck, at least, to resolve Blood Moon. Yes, Senshi, this is taking place in Melbourne. Yes, he can always feed the red. He can always feed the red mana into his artifacts that can produce other colors, the Mox Opal, Mox Diamond, any of the talismans, and then he is able to go off with an answer in the sideboards there. Something like a Silvok Replica for artifacts or enchantments, something like that. Autumn Nature's Claim. But if you're able to build a competitive deck with both Blood Moon and Null Rod, let me know how you're doing it. That can also compete against the Zoo decks and the decks like the Bant deck that Isaac Egan is playing, which are with not the Blood Moon but the Null Rod are, in a lot of cases, a do nothing.
Yeah.
And Lachlan Ward-Smith, to my knowledge, is the only pilot of this deck up until tomorrow.
Yeah, probably will gain quite a lot of popularity after this showing of true supremacy.
I don't think it's going to gain a lot of popularity. No? I think there's one player who's going to pick it up and everyone else is just going to roll their eyes.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so we do have a Time Twister resolving here. Oh, Memory Jar, sorry. Now with the Fast Bond in play, he is able to just play any of his lands at will, taking 1 damage for each of them. He does play the Zuran Orb and the Crucible for that infinite combo. That will give him infinite mana and infinite life. At this point, between the Minamo and the Candelabra of Tornos, he does have a lot of mana here.
Yes. Quite a lot.
I don't think that Daze is relevant.
No, probably not.
The Daze has been exiled to the Memory Jar, but even so. That's 11 blue. This is very interesting because while it is the Academy deck, it is very different to the old Academy decks that were played in Vintage that would try and use Academy to power out things was Donate. Illusions of Grandeur, I believe, was the Academy deck at that time.
Yep.
Lots of artifacts, just pump that combo, that 2-man combo out as quickly as possible. This is eschewing that. Obviously, in a singleton format, you can't have that kind of consistency to be able to only have 2 cards to get them together. The Channel Mirror does try and do that. Obviously, with Channel and Lich's Mirror. But then, once you've actually got those 2, the cards are mostly interchangeable. You have tutors and you have mana once you've got the 2 together.
Yep.
This deck just lives by the same thing, except it's using its draw 7s instead of individual tutors for cards.
Yep.
And so Reap and Sow there was entwined.
Which isn't the first time it's been done today. So destroying a land and searching for a land card.
So he got Rishadan Port there, which he will be able to, if he does choose to pass the turn here, tap down another land in Isaac's upkeep.
Tundra. Oh wait, no, he destroyed the Tundra.
Get smart, you are correct, sorry. I believe at the time the Academy decks first came out, the very first ones in Vintage was a time where you could still use 4 Mana Crypt.
So currently on this deck is Khazali Pride Mage's ability to destroy the Candelabra with the mana floating from the destroyed Tundra. And fetching a land. Not yet.
So in response to the Rishadan Port, he went for the fetch land, he tapped the fetch land, went and got the Hallowed Fountain and destroyed the Candelabra. In response to that, he re-untapped the Rishadan Port. Isaac here looking quite dejected.
Well, similar to his previous match with Dom. There's quite a few Kara players there surrounding and Melbourneites.
For those who have just joined in, this is Lachlan Wardsmith on the left, 4th turn.
Yes, of the Next Level Games Eternal Masters Highlander event in the finals. Game 1, turn 4 for Wardsmith.
That is a lot of permanents to have in play.
It is indeed.
Tangle Wire against the 3 permanents. Okay, so he goes, activates Makoriko, both players draw a card. If he doesn't have anything else, he may have to simply pass the turn, but he's going to use the Bounce Chamber, get back the Academy, replay the Academy. More mana!
Yes, it seems to be a common theme with Wardsmith's deck, of more mana, more cards, all of the untapping of things.
I'm still feeling so gutted at the playing of Tangle Wire in there. It just seems It seems so out of place
Yeah.
when you look at it, and then there's twice here he's been able to play the Tangle Wire just to keep his opponent from doing anything when he fails to actually go off.
Yep. It's like, oh, I've tried to go off, it doesn't quite work, but you can't do anything.
And is that Blue Suns? I assume it's 4 enough. Apparently not only in this deck, not only do we have the Tangle Wire, apparently it's got a Trinosphere somewhere in there. In your, what a lot of people would think as a Storm combo kind of setup. It may possibly be in the sideboard. We are just trying to pull that up here. Oh, he Blue Suns himself for 10 here, shuffling back in the Blue Suns. He's got the rings now. The rings will allow him to get infinite mana should he choose to untap the Basalt Monolith, so he will have infinite colorless mana at this point, should he play the rings. Taking a couple of extra damage from those lands. And the Swords to Plowshares looking very lonely in Isaac's hand.
Yes.
Yes, and there's the Spell Pierce is not relevant. It's only in his sideboard. There's really no kind of one mana spell. That Absence Pilgrim is indeed summoning 6, so he can't even pay something like a mana leak or some kind of conditional 2 mana counter. This is turn 4 for Lachlan Ward-Smith. Isaac Egan, I believe, has had 3 turns.
Yes. Ward-Smith, being the top seed, was on the play, or elected to be on the play.
Defense Grid completely locking out Isaac, just going for absolute...
Oh.
Yes, Kitty. This the deck list will be available online. They will be posted at auseternal.com. That's AUSETERNAL.com.
Yep.
You'll find not only the lists for this event here, you will also find a primer for the deck on the left, and you will also find lists from many other events, including the recent Brisbane or recent
Canberra League. Yes.
Canberra League.
Many Highlander decks going back a few years.
Yes, so Scray Creme, what is untapping the Academy is that you can see a Candelabra of Tornos in the graveyard. There's also a Deserted Temple on the field, as well as Minamo, center of the. One of them's the center of the sea. The other one's the Old Academy. One of them has blue untapped target legendary land. Yes, so the rings are in play. He has infinite colorless mana from the Basalt Monolith. And he only has 1 blue floating, so he may have to pass the turn if he's not able to do anything else. It looks like he's Living Wishing. Probably Flying Spaghetti Monster here. Comes down. He's going to take an extra turn. Tap down 4 permanents. Ruin Isaac's day. Put him to 2.
Yep.
For the viewers who have just joined in the recent couple of minutes, we are looking at Lachlan Ward-Smith in the finals of the Australian 7-Point Highlander Championship Eternal Masters event. So this is an event we run out here all the time, or annually, we should say.
Yep, annually.
And we may have a question here on what's happening. Australian 7-Point Highlander is a singleton event.
The 7 points list of cards with power. So there's 4 points for Black Lotus, Tinker, Ancestral Recall, 3 points for Demonic Tutor, the Moxen.
Okay, we do have a judge call here. Lachlan Ward Smith has not discarded his hand at end of turn to that memory jar about half an hour ago. And we'll see what's happening here. Ward Smith is the only known pilot that I know of this particular deck. Digital Psycho, though tomorrow there will be one more, I can assure you.
Will that be you, by any chance?
There may be a person trying to put this deck together. There's a few cards I'm missing. I don't have the Mox Diamond, and I don't have the Candelabra, but that's about it.
I believe, yeah, Ward Smith has been borrowing the Candelabra quite a few events. Yep, so...
Highlander being a great event because you can do it on... Storm is viable digital. We had former Pro Tour player Jeremy Neiman playing today. He unfortunately only made 10th place today. He was missing... he missed out due to not being able to mathematically ID into top 8, having to bash and lost his basically winning in.
We see an Emrakul.
And so Emrakul gets there against Isaac Egan game 1. Lachlan Ward Smith takes the first game, and they are going to go to the sideboards now. Isaac Egan, as I said, he's got a few cards to make his deck come in that will... He's got a few cards to come in that will make his deck a lot more viable against Lachlan on his combo deck. Does have Aven Mind Sensor for the transmutes and any other kind of tutoring. Duress, Thoughtseize, Spell Pierce, Negate. And that's... probably it.
Yeah.
Other things like Gut Shot. Sylvan Library he might bring in, thinking that his life total is mostly irrelevant. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Next Level Games Eternal Masters event. This is the Highlander held by Next Level Games and sponsored, or streamed, by Sneak and Show. I'm Joshua Butler, I'm here with Laura Ellis, and we're going into Game 2 for the finals here at the Highlander event. The winner of this is walking away with a Mox Emerald. And the second place is walking away with a Grim Tutor, recently depointed and found its way into Jeremy Neiman's Stormless today. Yep. It was very spicy towards the end when he was casting that against Tim Hughes in the final turns of their match. Unfortunately, he did lose that to Tim and then lost his winning in the final round. Yep. Not being able to ID because of the upset Julian Toe had by being paired up in the final round, winning his match and sneaking into 8th spot. Yep. But we are probably going to go back down to the table as soon as those guys have finished. On behalf of everyone here, thanks for tuning in. This is Australian 7-point Highlander, so if you don't know exactly what this is, I can suggest going to auseternal.com. That's AUSETERNAL.com. And so what that'll do, and there's the explanation of the format, card choices, things like that. And there are, as Mr. Verbal has pointed out, JP Kelly's Storm deck is slightly different to Neiman's. Neiman is not running Yawgmoth's Will, which for a lot of people thought that was one of the major cards for the Storm archetype. You played 4 for your Lotus, 3 for the Will, and that was your points. Jeremy Neiman has opted to go for Yawgmoth's Bargain, Mana Vault, and a couple of other things. And he also does play the Oriox Salvages combo in there, which is very interesting, being Jeremy Neiman. We didn't see that go off today. We only saw him very handedly storm his opponents out. But Isaac Egan is going. So the deck on the left we're going to call Academy, unless it's pending official name from Lachlan.
Academy draw 7. This is Academy draw 7s. This is.
Yes, Spider Bite. Balance is in Neiman's list, so he does pay a point for balance. And as I have said, for the deck on the left here, there is a primer on Oz Eternal, the same site that we pointed to earlier, and I'm sure can be put into the Twitch chat. So Isaac Egan is mulling over still on his sideboard choices. Things like, well, he just has too many dead cards in the main, really. I keep looking at this list going, yeah, he can bring in all these cards, but I then look at the cards he wants to take out, and there's just too many. Things
so
like
many options.
Kitchen Finks, Lingering Souls, Blade Splicer, Siege Rhino, Restoration Angel, well, maybe that can stay in, but all these cards that are just straight up bricks against trying to interact with Lachlan. Balance is balanced, Senshi. Each player ends up with exactly the same of everything.
Yes.
Except for artifacts.
Yep.
Now, if you choose to play a deck with lots of artifacts and balance, that's fine.
Yeah. And Planeswalkers as well.
And
balance.
Planeswalkers.
That'd be interesting, an artifact Planeswalker deck. And balance.
And here we go. So, we are shuffling up here for the game 2. Are you expecting Lachlan to take this, or are you going to give one to Isaac?
I'm going to say Lachlan's going to walk away with a win.
Okay. Well, just to be contrary to you, I'm going for Isaac. Isaac, I want you to hit your duress and your Thoughtseize early. I want you to put on a clock, something nice and fast, and then I want you to play counterspells for Lachlan to walk straight into.
Yep. Well, that'd be a nice match. A good showing of the magic cards.
Lachlan, what I want you to do is turn 1 Isaac. We haven't had that on camera today. It is very rare in Highlander, and I want to see it happen.
It would be also quite nice to see magic cards played that way.
And we can see Isaac has the Spell Pierce. We can't see any of his other cards very well. Is he going to keep the spell on some interaction at least?
Mr. Verbal, there was some Norwegians watching, some Swedes,
Canadians, Americans.
Yep.
And then someone from Texas.
Plenty of Australians, though. It would be nice if those in the chat would like to say where they're from. I believe there's probably some Canberrites in there. Some Barons. They've got a Deathrite Shaman for Isaac. And
Isaac in between the second and the top 4 and the final, whilst Lachlan was still comboing out against his top 4 opponent. May or may not have jokingly asked what the second place prize was. Earth, I hear you got a new flag recently.
Oh, Italy, hello. Hang on. What time is it over there?
Okay, so here's the clock being presented from Isaac. That True Name Nemesis, combined with the Deathrite Shaman, if he can put a black source on the board, is going to be relatively fast. It's 4 turns for Lachlan to go off. Pity Lachlan went off turn 4 last time. And Lachlan does have a good out for True Name Nemesis in simply casting Ugin.
Yes.
Though that Spell Pierce in Isaac's hand does mean he's going to need 10 mana for that.
Yep.
No, he cannot use the shop mana to pay for Spell Pierce.
Oh.
Isaac sending the attack through, getting the black source, most likely going to start eating away at the graveyards. Unfortunately, he cannot eat the Candelabra of Tornos or any of the other artifacts there that he might want to get out of Lachlan's deck. Yes, Mr. Verbal, that's quite correct. It does have a cross between vintage and modern feel. That's what I was explaining earlier. It's the only deck really where we can get the convoluted combo decks like Lachlan Ward Smith's there, Jeremy Neiman's Storm deck, playing on a relatively even footing to something, say, Zoo or Bant, as you see here.
So we've got quite the international and what?
Australia-wide?
Yeah, no, I'm thinking more outer space showing.
Interstellar.
Yes, Interstellar, there we go. It's quite lovely.
No one further than the moon, though.
No, yeah.
It does have the ability to go broken, something like Lachlan Ward Smith's deck. As I said, Jeremy Neiman's Storm deck. You can play the Oriox Salvages combo. There are a lot of combos that are specific to vintage, Time Vault being one of the big ones, Tinker being another.
Yes.
And those games do play out like vintage games, but you do get guys on the Bant deck versus the Zoo deck, and they do look a lot like modern. Electing to draw additional cards. With the Aether Spellbomb, no blue source to bounce anything. It's probably closer to modern pre-Nakadal banning. Just after Storm was nerfed the first time, but it was still a very good deck. Pre-Nakadal banning. Or was Nakadal banned at the start? No, it wasn't. Before the Pro Tour that Storm won. I think pre-Nakadal banning, post Rider Flame, I think was the first one. That kind of modern feel. Jeremy Neiman's Storm deck will be put up online. And we'll be doing that on Oz Eternal, and that'll be happening at some stage later this week. Crop Rot the shop. I've used all the artifact mana I need. That Spell Pierce still sitting in Isaac's hand. No. No, it isn't. Oh no, he counted the Gruul Signet. It's interesting in this list very much has a problem like Channel does in that it needs the colorless artifacts to feed mana through to make different colors. So it does use the signets, it doesn't use the baubles, which one might have expected.
Yeah.
Lachlan Ward Smith on a 2-turn clock here. He needs to go off this turn or next. We do know Isaac is down to only one card in hand, so it's probably not something too relevant. Maybe a singular counterspell. Okay, here we go. Making all the colorless mana that will help him feed additional costs in addition to the colored mana symbols. Possibly playing a rings here. No, he's going to Cunning Wish. What's he grabbing? Snap.
Crackle Pop? Or not.
Return Deathrite, untap Tolarian. I think it's just another way to untap Tolarian at this point.
Yeah. So Wardsmith has 1 blue and 2 workshop mana floating.
I'm calling it right now. Isaac is feigning everything. He has nothing. Calling it. It's just whether or not Lachlan's got enough. Transmute artifact. Come on, Isaac, show us what you got. A land and the death right.
It's going to be F6ing. Which is what many opponents of Lachlan Wardsmith's Academy deck have done today. Just show us the combo.
And let's get another 7 cards. Isaac Egan, plenty of mana on board, will be able to fire off any counterspells should he draw them, though when he flicked through there, that looked like a lot of blanks.
Yeah.
That looked like Land, Skullclamp, Averson's Pilgrim. I didn't see any counterspells in there.
Just lots of land.
Lachlan Wardsmith not out of the woods yet. He did elect to sacrifice his Mana Vault over his Basalt Monolith, meaning that the rings he has... he sacrifices Basalt Monolith over the Mana Vault, sorry, which means he doesn't have infinite mana here, as he's only able to untap the Mana Vault in his upkeep as a trigger.
I think I can see a Voice and a Stoneforge Mystic as well in Isaac's hand.
Yeah, any creatures in Isaac's hand are irrelevant.
Yes.
Because they will just simply go away at the end of turn.
Yep.
Adalius, this is best of 3. This is a proper tournament. This is not a league game like we have been showing previously. So this is best of 3, and this is game 2. Lachlan Wardsmith is at 8 to Isaac Egan's 18.
And a game up for Wardsmith.
So what did he discard there? Makoriko, Time Reversal. So had he elected to sacrifice the Mana Vault to the Transmute artifact, he would have infinite colorless there. He wouldn't have had the blue, but at least Makoriko would have drawn him an extra card, and he would have an untapped Monolith. Our life totals being updated. Lachlan Wardsmith spent that entire time actually at 5, not 8, and now he is down on 2. Okay. Mana Vault trigger will put him at 1 should he choose not to untap it. Okay, let's go, Lachlan. 3 mana. 4, 5. Time Reversal's in the bin. Time Spiral. Frantic Search. Frantic Search is only going to give him 1 card. I believe he has only 1 card in hand. It's going to untap, discard 2, giving him the best of his hand and the top 2. 6 mana, sorry. Great Furnace is an artifact. 4 blue in pool.
A Tezzeret or a...
Tezzeret? What does Tezzeret go get? It could untap the Mana Vault. Not really. Tezzeret will do 2 things though. If he pays 2, in addition he can untap 4 artifacts. He can go search for something, a 4 cost twice, 4 or less twice. Okay, so he's going to go get 2 1 costs or less. Looks like he's getting a Sensei's Divining Top. I might have just killed my Tezzeret there to give me the more options. A Voltaic Key will give him infinite draws, but he needs the mana. Oh, he's got top, so that's infinite draws if he has the mana. And the Zurin Orb, so he can copy the activated ability on the Zurin Orb, sacrificing 1 land for 4 life, probably keeping just the Tolarian Academy in play. And passes turn. So he can gain 6 life here with the Ring, Zurin Orb 1 land, and then sacrifice the other. Which will give him a turn. He can sacrifice the Great Furnace again. Isaac choosing which card can go. So Lachlan here goes up to 3, goes down to 1, goes up to 5, takes 3 and goes to 2. Should no more tricks be played.
Yep.
And in his draw step he will go back down to 1 from the Mana Vault. Yeah, so because the true name Nemesis chose to attack him rather than Tezzeret, we do see a play here from our co-commentator in the booth to go get the Crucible of Worlds with the Tezzeret and another card costing 3 or less, sacrificing the Academy, replaying it through the Crucible to gain some more mana, and then go off from there. And then the spin top, copy it with rings. And Isaac is tapping his 5/4 maker of juggernauts. Every time he plays a land from here, he's going to get juggernauts. Choosing to spin in upkeep, possibly in response to the Mana Vault trigger. Goes to 1 and has Deserted Temple on top.
Nice.
Yep, so with the Deserted Temple here and the Rings of Brighthearth, he has infinite mana. And all he has to do is Tezzeret for another part of the combo. Oh no, he's just got the top in play. Top and rings. So he can infinite card draw, infinite mana. So what he's going to do there is he's going to tap the Tolarian Academy for all the mana. Deserted Temple, copy Deserted Temple, untapping Deserted Temple and Tolarian. Do that till he has infinity. Go through his deck with top, drawing it again with the Rings of Brighthearth copy. And he's going to go through. And Lachlan Ward-Smith does make it. He does win the final.
Yep. Yeah, I was right.
Highlander event. You were right. You said he'd take it in 2. I gave Isaac the benefit of the doubt and said he'd get there. He did get very close. He did put his opponent down on 1 twice.
Yes, he did.
But unfortunately, that wasn't quite enough.
No.
Your opponent does need to be at 0 to lose the game of Magic.
Yes.
That's alright. We'll definitely be trying to get Lachlan in a couple of minutes. But we'll see what's happening there. For the meantime, we can jump back into the booth. Hi everyone, you're welcome to Next Level Games, the Eternal Masters weekend. I'm here, Joshua Butler. I'm here with Laura Ellis, and you've just finished watching the finals of the Highlander event, and thus concludes an epic weekend of Vintage 93-94 Legacy Highlander. Recapping all through the events, we had Espresso Stacks take out the Vintage event over Bomberman. We had the Burn deck take out Rug Delver in Legacy. We had the deck overtaking the deck in the 93-94, and now we have Lachlan Ward-Smith with the Academy deck overtaking the Bant Clamp deck in the final of the Highlander. Basically, for all these events, the major events, the Vintage, Legacy, and Highlander was Moxilicious competition.
Yep.
So there were 3 Moxen given out this weekend. We had a box of the upcoming Homelands set for the 93-94 tournament. Factory sealed. Get in now. Those prices are going to skyrocket.
Lovely.
That's all right. Well, we are going to try and get him in for the meantime. Otherwise, we'll have a look at the table and we'll see how everyone's going. Or we won't Twitch. That's all right. We're going to try and get Lachlan. So, what did you think of the event as a whole? How do you think it ran?
Was pretty smooth.
Yeah.
There were some interesting decks, some interesting plays, good fry judging.
Good fry judging.
Yeah.
We had the fry.
Yes. There's never anything else when it comes to fry. Always good judging, top-notch work from him.
That's all right.
And some
I think it was very interesting. I think for all 3 events there was a slightly different meta than at least what I expected going
definitely.
in. For the Vintage, I was expecting heavy on Mentor, and there really wasn't much. Maybe it was because people were packing hate for it. It just didn't go very well. There was a Mentor in the final.
Yeah.
So, but it wasn't a Mentor deck. It was just a straight blue-white Bomberman deck that happened to have 1 Mentor for when he's comboing off. It's pretty good with Lotus and Infinite Mana.
Yes. I definitely faced that Bomberman Mentor deck and lost.
Yep.
The Dredge did not win.
Again, with the Legacy, Burn winning. Burn has been quite big online, but it's not really a big thing in paper, though
No.
it has picked up some speed.
Oh.
Hello, hello. And we have our Lachlan, take a seat. Oh, yeah.
Hello.
Hi, Lachlan. There is your mic. I believe it is turned on.
Okay.
So, Lachlan, you managed to defeat everyone all the way through to the finals of the Highlander event. I'll get it right eventually. Who did you beat coming in?
I'm really bad with names.
Decks are fine.
Decks? Well, they mostly seem to be sort of 4-color creature decks.
A lot of Highlander tends to be like that.
Yep.
A lot of them had blue for random counterspells, which made it hard, but...
How did you go during the event? You came in the top of Swiss. Did you make it... Was it all wins? Any IDs in
Yeah,
there?
I had 4 wins and then I did to lock myself, and then I won the last one, so I get to go first in top 8.
Okay, that's a pretty good way to go. Your thoughts on the deck going forward?
I wish I'd kept the Trinisphere that was in the main deck before. I replaced it with Defense Grid. I wish I'd left it in the sideboard, because it would have really helped against all the free counter magic that people had.
Okay, yeah, that's very good. We had a comment coming through saying, oh, he's going to go get Trinisphere here. And we looked through the list and couldn't find it. So that was a cut that is going to go back in?
Yeah, go back in the sideboard. Defense Grid's better in the main.
Okay.
But Sphere's really good, especially if you're on the play.
Yeah, how did you feel when you had one turn to go in the top 4 match, just before you had to just hardcast Ugin?
I was pretty stressed. Some things weren't going well that game.
No, things weren't going
a lot
well.
of pressure on me.
Do you have any thoughts about Highlander?
That's my favourite format.
It's your favourite format?
So far.
That's always good to hear. Well, when you win, it tends to be quite high.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now you're the Highlander Master.
Awesome.
National Highlander Master,
Mm.
Lachlan Ward-Smith. Is that going to become a thing? Are we a thing now?
It's definitely a thing.
That's all right. Well, thank you everyone for watching. It was a great show, and we're definitely going to be going back, having a look at the room, and we'll eventually be shutting this down. We may have a couple more games being streamed a bit more casually.
Yeah, I see the comment, not enough Notion Thieves in the format. I was really worried about other hate bears like Spirit of the Labyrinth as well, and Canonist and things coming out of that.
Few hate bears like that, but I think a lot of people have just gone for the more high power creatures that are unfortunately a little bit less impactful when you want to be fighting on the stack, and cut decks that want to do that. We did note that there were only 2 hardcore combo decks in the room that weren't trying to play a control game and then combo out in some way, and they both made top 10. We had you coming in first place in the Swiss and first place overall, and we had Jeremy Neiman in 10th. That's all good. Thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you all soon.
Thank you.
Bye. I totally forgot about the whole thing being connected to the chair.
Let's have fun. Thank you very much for your help.
That's alright.